What is up, Gundam Meisters and innovators? I am just a simple Newtype, and in this episode we're returning to the second generation Celestial Beings and Mobile Suit Gundam OOP. Last time we were introduced to our three new Celestial Being pilots, Chal, Ryudo, and Marlene. We saw the Astraea, Sadalsuit, and Pluton in action. Ryudo struggled with this first kill, and after a ground battle, the team was validated and certain that their goal of eradicating war was a necessary path forward. This time we conclude Season 1 of the 2nd Gen Celestial Being arc. Marlene and Ryudo fall in love. They prepare to pass on the fighting to the next generation, but they have to complete one last mission. So let's get into this. Before we start, we have to break down Astraea. I keep forgetting that the Type F from OOF is different from the base model. The GNY 001 Gundam Astraea was developed at Krung Thep for 2nd generation Celestial Beings, and served as a testing ground for much of what we see in the 3rd generation. Like Gundam, this is designed for general purpose use. This will influence Gundam Exia. The clavicle antenna disperses GN particles. The Trans-Am system wasn't unlocked until AD 2308, but presumably these units would also activate as well. This unit is linked with Veda. Astraea tests the GN launcher, which becomes Gundam Virtue's GN bazooka. This can be configured as a double GN launcher or a quad cannon. Other weapons include the Proto GN sword, a GN beam saber, a test GN sword, a GN short blade, a GN long blade, and a GN shield. Meister 874 wonders if she is not human, as she doesn't fundamentally understand humans. Aeolia's plan is underway, but they need more people. 874 thinks that Veda will go with innovators and thinks humans aren't necessary. That isn't her decision though. The AEU's orbital elevator provides underwater cables to transmit power. Their next mission is to monitor these cables. 874 heads out in a Sadal suit, while Ryudo heads out in Astraea. Ryudo will provide aerial defense against their likely enemies during this mission, the Hellion. The AEU 0592 AEU Hellion Initium is AEU's attempt at an aerial combat mobile suit. This unit was built with the help of Ian Vashti after building 04 from the ground up. They used the Union's Rialdo as a reference. This unit was a staple during the Solar Power Wars. These can't transform mid-battle and requires a mechanic to make the changes. Weapons include a 50 caliber smoothbore gun, a defense rod, and a sonic blade. Marlene wanted to go out and fought back, but eventually conceded to Ryudo. They launch. As expected, they ran into the Hellions. Their speed was faster than their beams, but after focusing, Ryudo was able to take some down. Due to their speed, it took longer than expected. Ryudo thinks about taking lives once again. He is a killer, he thinks. A vessel approaches. This contains both Ian Vashti and Dr. Joyce Moreno. They saw the Gundam and think that they should kill them, but instead they decide to ask them to join their cause. Ian is amazed by the Gundam and wants to join at the thought of being able to work on the GN drives. There are mainly workers in space during this time. Many once in space are trapped there and forced to do grueling labor. Marlene was one of these workers while working out near Mars. The Mars tragedy occurred. A severe lung disease broke out amongst the workers. Marlene too was infected. Everyone around her died and there was no one else in this sector, until one man came to help. His name was Robark's dad. He came to space to create a better world for his family, mainly his son. This name may sound familiar because this is Fawn Spark's original name as well. Fawn is Robark's dad Jr. He is the son of this man helping Marlene. Robark saved Marlene that day. She was then convicted of murder, rather than the Union taking blame for an outbreak. Robark's dad eventually died as well, insinuating the Union killed him. This is when she received the message from Grave and joined Celestial Being. The Abulhul is finally completed. Hellions are deploying and Marlene gets to launch in her new mobile suit. Moreno and Ian are now a part of their team. Moreno tells Marlene of a small village that he once helped. He wants her to avoid the island, but she says Veda makes the calls. She reminds them that they can't save everyone who sees the Gundam, and that Ian and Moreno are very lucky. Their mission goes as planned. She used her GN Vulcans to take out some Hellions. One tries to kamikaze, but Marlene stops them. She barely lands the Abulhul and is badly injured. Well, she helped protect the village at least. Marlene realizes she is a fool. Moreno thinks to himself the explosion collar on Marlene's neck isn't because she is a criminal. It's because she's blindly passionate, even in the face of the cold and calculating logic of Veda. A Celestial Being didn't intervene in conflict during this time. Observers played a bigger role. We saw the Council of Observers in Season 1 of Gundam 00. Ribbons and Alejandro were originally observers before going rogue, and before the writer forgot about this plot point and also made him the Gundam pilot. Ryudo is to launch and take out some Hellions. He is taking over from Marlene, who is still recovering from her injuries. He heads out in the Astraea. He fires on Hellions from above. The beam rifle Ryudo uses is on another level to the smoothbore guns. Linear weapons and beam tech won't happen for a while outside of Celestial Being. Celestial Being must have felt like gods for those first 30 years before humanity caught up with them. After the mission, Marlene meets with Ryudo. They tease one another before Ryudo eventually confesses his feelings for her. Later, Ian finds Charles sad and alone. She is super jelly of Ryudo and Marlene, and says that she can't be happy for them. The mission was a success, but the observers note that Veda doesn't record the emotional responses of the Gundam Meisters. Veda isn't human, and this is an aspect where having humans help in the long run. They fix this problem by focusing on emotional stress of the pilots as a data point moving forward. Ryudo helps out with Ian in the hangar. He is beating around the bush, but Chal knows that he wants to ask Marlene to marry him. Chal never expressed her own feelings towards Ryudo. At this point, she is genuinely happy for them. It's time to plan a wedding. Surprisingly, 874 volunteered to pilot a shuttle for them. Moreno and Ian were too busy. 874 being a pilot is the only contribution she can make, as she doesn't have a body. Although no one seems to know this yet. They got permission to take off Marlene's explosive collar, but in order to do that, they had to take Marlene off the team. She is mad that Ryudo made this decision for her, but he says it is quite the opposite. She is now free and welcome to become a celestial being if she likes, this time without the fear of death motivating her decision. The two embrace, because real Japanese men don't kiss ever for some reason, even if it's your wedding day. Several years have passed. Celestial Being is making moves towards a third generation. Ryudo and Marlene have welcomed in a new daughter. She has a real name, but to the organization she is called Felt Grace. Marlene focuses on raising Felt, but if an emergency ever broke out, she would pilot once again. Oh, foreshadowing. Marlene tells Chal that she needs to find her own path. Chal thinks perhaps she isn't cut out at being a Gundam Meister. Ryudo will most likely become a third-generation mobile suit pilot. They enjoy peace before war breaks out. An attack occurred at the HRL orbital elevator, leading to conflict. However, Veda decides to remain neutral in this situation. This isn't going to impact Veda's plans. The supercomputer doesn't expect the elevator to fall. AEU plans on delaying the HRL elevator through terror. The three Gundam Meisters want to intervene regardless of Veda's decision. They plan on overloading the GN condenser on the Pluton by luring in the enemy and letting it go off, disabling all enemy mobile suits. Chal would eject in the core fighter before any of this goes down. They don't quite know the effects of GN particles on the body at this time. Chal is thinking of retiring after this mission. They want to bring 874 in on this. Marlene wants to deploy as well. She will use the Abulhul. Ian and Moreno are also brought into the plan. Moreno is the only one who is opposed because of the effects of GN particles, but he is outnumbered. After telling 874, she says that Veda approves their mission. What a snitch. HRL has Phantons stationed at the elevator, but they don't have air superiority like AEU's Hellion. Suddenly, everyone's sensors on the battlefield goes black. The Gundam Meisters move in. The Astraea and the Abulhul buy time for Pluton. Chal moves in and triggers the overload. She ejects, but nothing happens. There must be a malfunction. Could this be Veda's doing? But Veda approved the mission, she thinks. Marlene and Ryudo come in to help. The Astraea uses its beam saber to try to get the core fighter out of the mobile suit. Chal tells him to get away. It is going to go off. Suddenly, the core fighter ejects and Chal blacks out. 874 watches on. The Gundams were perfectly fine, but there were no life signs from the pilots. For the first time ever, 874 felt something. She notes that Veda sends out O Gundam for recovery. Of course, we know this is Ribbons. Chal wakes up to Ian and Moreno. Moreno hands her Marlene's hairpin. He says, well, we learned a valuable lesson about how much GN particles the human body could take. Unfortunately, it was at the expense of Ryudo and Marlene's life. Chal cries for her comrades. She was debriefed on the situation and wonders who piloted O Gundam. The exposure to GN particles caused a mutation in her cells, which I think is the reasoning for why her hair is now white. She also damaged her left eye during the escape. Marlene's last words to Chal were, "You must live." Grave meets with 874. They need to recruit more Gundam Meisters. Veda still hasn't decided if they should choose humans or innovades. The book notes that 874 is currently in the process of becoming an innovate, so she wasn't secretly always an innovate this whole time. Grave gives his condolences for the death of the previous Gundam Meisters. Grave was the one who chose them. 874 thinks that humans are too gentle, but Veda has a new mission for them. They are considering bringing in more innovades for the role. However, Grave gives 874 hope, as he mentions there are humans being scouted for the third generation. He says this is due to innovades like Ribbons Almark. There are many changes happening within Celestial Being. 874 is also starting to understand the nuance of humanity. And that will conclude this episode and the first arc of Gundam 00P. The second generation Meisters didn't really have the emotional support that the third generation received. By the time the anime begins, Veda learns to deal with humans better. 00F does already explain Marlene and Ryudo's death along with Felt, but at least here we get the full backstory. Could have probably withheld the information to give a little tease. Next time we begin Volume 1, Season 2 of 00P, where we head into the future. Here, the worlds of 00, 00F, 00I, and 00P finally come together. Grave scouts out Neil DeLandy. Thanks to the help of Chal and 874, Moreno advances medical tech, and we learn of Meister 887. But that will do it for now, Newtypes. Remember, most rules are written in blood. Peace.